This past week, the city and the nation remembered the terrorist attacks that changed our lives 1 year ago. For one man, it was time spent at Ground Zero in the aftermath of the attacks that changed his life the most. Before September 11th, Mike Bellone was a bouncer at a nightclub in Brooklyn. That morning, he hitched a ride with a fire truck to downtown Manhattan. 9 months later, he found himself reborn, literally a new man. Ellen Marks has his story.
Did some firefighters die from the Twin Towers?
Yes. 343 firefighters died.
A year later, and most of these children are still learning the ABCs of September 11th, a painful subject being handled with kid gloves. Bob Barrett brings 28 years of firefighting experience to the table, and this man, well, he found his way here simply by following his heart.
You don't have to be a fireman or a policeman to be a hero. You don't have to run into a burning building to be a hero. All you have to do is just be yourself. Be respected and be educated. How you doing, guys?
Mike Bellone, a former supermarket manager, was putting in 5 nights a week as a bouncer at the Brooklyn nightclub Legacy. Then, disaster struck.
As I was watching it, I was watching underneath. They have it's what's called a recall, and they needed all medics, and I happen to be a certified EMT.
It was his passport to the pit, Ground Zero, the place he'd be calling home for the next 9 months. Mike waded fearlessly into the ungodly scene of horror, at first searching for survivors, then spending endless days sifting through the smoldering rubble, looking for bodies and body parts. He remembers finding Ladder 4's truck submerged 60 feet below street level and digging into the night with a team of workers to get to it. He gave the ladder company a piece of its prized rig, its ID plate. One of the 15 men lost in that firehouse was Michael Lynch, and Mike made it his mission to find him, to bring him home to his widow, Denise.
She used to inspire me and tell me, don't give up. You know, keep going. What you're doing is good. Someday you'll find my husband. And sure enough, March 12th, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, we started finding all the men from that company, including her husband. She came down and she gave me a big hug. And I gave her something that I shouldn't have gave her, but I gave her the front piece to her husband's helmet. It was worth it just to see the smile on her face.
As the 47-year-old divorced father of 2 helped bring closure to countless grieving families, his own life was beginning to open up. With encouragement from firefighters, Mike took and passed a 6-week course at John Jay College to become a fire safety director, a title that would allow him to stay on during Reconstruction. He had become a fixture on a constantly changing landscape. Mike Bellone was always there, even on Christmas Day, after his own father died the night before.
They were all for what I was doing, so I wanted to keep that going, not just for myself, but also for them, because I know that's what they would have wanted.
Too tired to go home day after day, Mike turned to St. Paul's Chapel for food and shelter, like hundreds of other volunteers. But for Mike, it provided much more than comfort. It turned out to be a major source of inspiration. For it was here, sleeping on a pew, where he dreamed up the idea of educating children about America's darkest day and its aftermath.
They used to hang letters and cards all throughout the whole church, and it really made it look beautiful. But if you read some of those letters, that's where it got to you. Dear firefighter, I'm sorry that the World Trade Center fell. Maybe if you rebuild it and put it somewhere where no one can find it, maybe that'll be better for the next time. These kids were so sincere, and they were so moved and so emotional that me and Bob used to, say to each other, like, who's looking out for them?
And so letters turned into lessons, and by now it was clear Mike Bellone had found a calling, a community, and a close friend in Bob Barrett.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
The 2 met on day 1 at Ground Zero. Bob, a firefighter from Ladder 20 in Manhattan, was looking for the missing men from his company, including his best buddy of 24 years, firefighter Dave LaForge. In the process, he made a new friend.
I could talk to Mike and tell him what I was thinking, and I knew I was talking to someone who understood. Sorrow doesn't last, but love does. And when you make a friendship, that brings life back to you.
God closes the door, he opens the door. That was my gift.
The two are inseparable. They even undergo a weekly 5-hour treatment together to rid their blood of the multiple toxins that have contaminated it.
We have jet fuel and mercury and asbestos, acetylene, and all that good stuff. So we're trying to get it taken out of our system a little bit at a time.
Most of the time, they're a team in any kind of a classroom setting. On this hot summer's day in August, 36 children at the New Ground Day Camp in Brooklyn are the ones trying to grasp the magnitude of the catastrophe.
Can anybody tell me how many stories high the World Trade Center was?
500
No.
million?
No.
105?
Not 105.
Did you ever think that you could get up in front of a classroom and talk to the kids the way you did today?
No. We don't have a program. We don't have an itinerary. When we get up and we speak and we just go with the flow of how they want to hear it. See that? Used to hook it on our belt like this so it wouldn't get in the way. And if we had to dig, we have a shovel.
Is it heavy?
No, you can pass it around.
Their accessible show-and-tell approach has won them widespread word of mouth that will keep them talking far into the future and far away. They've got bookings around the country and the world, with appearances set for schools in Japan in November.
I haven't sat up there in a while.
Bob is retired now, but his pal plans to return to Ground Zero in the fall, hoping to land a job in the rebuilding effort. And the two will, of course, continue their volunteer teaching. In the meantime, Mike is holding on to his night job, working the room as a changed man.
Just by seeing what everybody else has gone through, you just start to learn how to respect that quality of life that you're given a little bit more.
Okay, and that is the WB11 News for this Saturday night. I'm Peter Thorne.
And I'm Mary Murphy. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow at 10. Good night.
Good night.
Closed captioning is brought to you as a public service by your local Tri-State Dodge dealers.